My name is Liam, 42 years old. Until 4:23 p.m. yesterday, I was sure of three things. That the laws of physics are immutable, that my code always compiles on the first try, and that I am the father of Qley, my 14-year-old daughter. Now I'm only sure of the first two. The third one collapsed, burying everything I called my life under the rubble and opening a door to a nightmare whose depth I'm only beginning to grasp. The story of the lie didn't begin yesterday. It began 15 years ago. But I, a blind and trusting idiot, lived in its cozy, artificial reality, like in an aquarium. And yesterday, someone shattered the glass. We were moving into our dream house. Not just a house, a fortress, a project into which I poured my soul, time, and every extra cent for the past 5 years. Kate, my wife, chose the tiles and wallpaper, while I handled complex engineering calculations, argued with contractors, and slept at the construction site. A week before the move-in, on a Saturday, I decided to clean out the attic of our old house, a symbolic cleansing of space before the new chapter. I went up there with a sense of light nostalgia, expecting to find old textbooks, useless junk, maybe letters from our youth. Among the boxes of Qley's childhood toys, I saw it. A small, gray, metal, Sentinel, safe. I remembered Kate buying it about 10 years ago, saying she wanted to store our insurance policies and her diplomas there. In case of fire, she said. A combination lock. I had never been interested in its contents. We had no secrets. Or so I thought. At that moment, looking at the safe in the beam of dusty light from the dormer window, I was pierced by a sharp, almost mystical premonition. My heart beat faster. I knelt before it. The code? I tried our wedding date. Silence. Qley's date of birth. The click was loud as a gunshot in the attic's silence. I opened the lid. The top layer met expectations. A folder with insurance documents, Kate's diploma, our marriage certificates. I was already berating myself for paranoia when, beneath the folder, my fingers brushed against an envelope made of thick, yellowed paper. It was tied with a silk ribbon. The corner of a photograph peeked out. The first photograph. Kate, looking about 25. She's sitting on the hood of an old Mustang, bathed in sunlight. She's wearing denim shorts and a simple white t-shirt, laughing with her head thrown back. And she's not alone. A man stands next to her, his arm around her waist. He's tall, fair-haired, with an open, cheeky kind face and very light, almost icy blue eyes. He's not looking at the camera but at her, and in his gaze is such adoration and possessiveness that my stomach clenched. I didn't know this man, but I knew that look. It was how I used to look at her, in the very beginning. On the back, in Kate's familiar handwriting, Boston. Pierce Park. With Toby. Last hurrah before adult life. The 6th of December 2008. 1 month before our wedding. I set the photo aside, my hands trembling. Under it was a whole stack. They're in a bar, smiling across a table. They're at some party, he's kissing her temple. They're on a beach, he's carrying her in his arms. All the same date, June 2008. And on each one, the same caption. With Toby. As if she was afraid of forgetting that name. I felt like a thief peeking through a keyhole into someone else's life. The life of my wife, whom I evidently did not know. Under the photographs lay a folder with files. I opened it. They were printouts of emails. Correspondence between Kate and her best, as I thought, friend Jess, who moved to London about 10 years ago. The chronology was laid out perfectly. Email dated the 25th of June 2008. 1 week after our wedding. Jess, I'm panicking. I'm late. 2 weeks. I've been pretending everything's fine for Liam, but inside, it's hell. Just took a test. 2 lines. Definitely not from Liam. We only, after the wedding. But with Toby, it was exactly that weekend in Boston. I'm going under. Email dated the 7th of January 2008. Talked to Toby. He's horrified. He just got approved for a 2-year project in Sydney, leaving in a month. He said it was a terrible situation, and offered a humane solution, money for a clinic. He named a sum. It's large. He said, this will be better for everyone. Especially for you. You just got married. And Liam. Liam already bought a book on parenting. Yesterday he said, I want her to have your eyes. I almost passed out. Email dated the 7th of October 2008. I can't do it. But I also can't tell Liam. He'll build a wall of his damn decency around himself and leave. And I'll be left alone. Without a husband, with a child, in disgrace. Toby called. Said if I leave everything as is, he'll help financially. Regularly. Confidentially. So the child wants for nothing. So I want for nothing. He called it a civilized way out. Liam will be the father in every sense, and he'll be a distant benefactor. I hate myself. But I agreed. Email dated the 9th of May 2008. A month after we found out about Kate's pregnancy, Liam is happy. He's already talking to my belly. He wants a girl. Sometimes I look at him and think, if only you knew. I feel like the lowest creature. But there's no turning back. Toby sent the first transfer. I opened an account. I don't know what I'll save it for. Maybe for her education. Maybe for a rainy day. It's our little 3-person family secret. Though what kind of family is this anyway? I reread that last phrase several times. 3-person family secret. Me, Kate, and the ghost named Toby, who bought his indulgence with bank transfers. For 15 years, I was part of this trio without even suspecting it. Beneath the letters, as the logical conclusion to the nightmare, lay a folder of bank statements. Thick, worn. The account was in the name of Catherine Ann Carter at a bank we never used. The statement started in September 2008, a transfer of $300. And onward, every month, without fail, like clockwork, from sender, Theodore Richards. The amounts grew. $300, $500, by 2012, a steady $800. From 2018 onward, $1,200 to $1,500 monthly. In the purpose field, support for Qley, education, medical. Being an engineer, I instantly approximated in my mind. About $1,000 a month on average over 14 years. That's about $170,000. Almost a third of the cost of our new house. The house into which I poured my salary, my bonuses, my soul, thinking I was building a future for my daughter. Turns out, she had a co-investor. A silent partner from Sydney. But that wasn't all. At the very bottom of the safe, neatly wrapped in blue silk cloth, lay a small wooden jewelry box. Inside, jewelry. Not the kind I gave. A gold bracelet engraved, for my shining star. Sapphire earrings. And a gold crescent moon pendant, on the back of which was engraved, Qley, the 13th of June 2020, the day of her 13th birthday. A business card was pinned to the pendant. Theodore Richards, Senior Financial Analyst, Barclays Wealth Management, Sydney. And on the back, again in Kate's handwriting, from Uncle Theo, Mom's old friend from Australia. Say it came in the mail. That finished me off completely. He didn't just pay. He was present. He marked her birthdays. He chose gifts. He was Uncle Theo, the mysterious benefactor, while I was just Dad, who nagged about algebra grades and made her clean her room. They had created for my daughter. No, for his daughter. A whole alternative reality, a parallel family where she had a wealthy, generous, distant relative. And I was the local manager of upbringing. I sat on the dusty attic floor, clutching the cold gold pendant. There was no rage in me, no grief. There was emptiness. Absolute, cosmic emptiness, like after a star explodes. Everything that was light and warmth had evaporated. Only the cold ash of facts remained. I don't remember putting everything back in the safe. I don't remember coming downstairs. I came to, standing in the middle of the living room. Everything here was painfully familiar. The couch we chose together. The photos on the mantelpiece. The smell of lavender air freshener Kate loved. All of it was a facade. A prop. Qley breezed into the room. She was back from tennis practice. Tanned, disheveled, radiant. Dad, you done clearing out the attic? Mom said you were doing an archaeological dig up there. Find any treasure? She laughed and tossed her sports bag. I looked at her curly blonde hair in a messy bun. At her huge gray-blue eyes. At the thin, long fingers she clearly didn't get from me. I had always admired her grace. Now I saw in her the features of the man from the photograph. How could I not have seen it before? Dad, you okay? You look pale. Qley, please go to your room, I said. My voice was quiet but had such a metallic edge that her smile vanished instantly. What's wrong? Alarm rang in her voice. Now. She flinched as if struck, threw me a frightened look, and ran upstairs. At that moment, Kate came out of the kitchen. Seeing my face, she froze. Then her gaze darted to my hands. They were empty, but apparently, the expression on my face spoke for itself. Liam, what? You were in the attic? The convenient arrangement, Kate? I said, each word like a shard of glass. The civilized way out. The three-person family secret. Her face went utterly white. She grabbed the doorframe to keep from falling. You opened the safe. Code, Qley's date of birth. Ironic, huh? I opened it expecting to find old photos. And I did. Photos, letters, statements, $170,000, Kate. And gifts from Uncle Theo. I pulled the gold pendant from my jeans pocket and placed it on the coffee table with a quiet, ominous thud. She didn't try to deny it. She just slowly slid down the doorframe to the floor, burying her face in her knees. Her shoulders shook. I was going to tell you. 1,000 times I wanted to. But then a year would pass, then another. Qley grew up. You were such a wonderful father. I was afraid of ruining everything. You weren't afraid of ruining. You were afraid of losing your comfort. My voice broke, and I shouted for the first time in many years. You built your life on 2 salaries. Mine, honest, and his, blood money. And you made me play the lead role in this fucking play. I loved her. I thought she was my blood. You stole my right to know the truth. You stole my fatherhood from me. She is your daughter. She screamed back, raising her tear-streaked face. You raised her. You are her dad. Blood doesn't matter. It does. I roared. It matters when your whole life with a person is built on the belief in that blood. It matters when you see in a child the continuation of yourself, your family, your ancestors. And you gave me someone else's continuation. And made me love it. At that moment, a step creaked on the stairs. We both turned. Halfway down stood Qley. She had heard everything. Every horrible word. Her face was twisted in such shock and pain that I physically felt a blow to my chest. So, it's true? Her voice was barely audible. I'm not yours? Her question was a plea. A plea for me to say, no. For all of this to be a bad dream. I opened my mouth but couldn't utter a word. I couldn't lie. My silence was the answer. She looked at her mother. Who is Toby? Uncle Theo? Is that him? Kate, sobbing, nodded. Qley stood for another second, as if trying to comprehend the impossible. Then her face contorted. She turned and bolted upstairs. A moment later, we heard her bedroom door slam and the lock click. The silence that followed was heavier than lead. Kate started talking again, something about love, fear, how it all happened. Her words reached me as if from behind thick glass, distorted, meaningless. Where is she? I interrupted her. In her room. Liam, please, let's talk. I can't talk to you. I can't look at you. I got up, walked to the study, grabbed my work bag, and started mechanically packing things. Laptop, charger, a few t-shirts, toiletries. Kate stood in the doorway, crying. You're leaving? Yes. Where? None of your business. And Qley? That question burned me. I stopped. Qley. I exhaled. I don't know. I don't know who I am to her now. And who she is to me. I walked out of the house, got in the car, and drove away without looking back. I just drove until I saw the sign for the Sputnik motel on the outskirts of town. Cheap, faceless. Exactly what I needed. Room 114. I've been sitting on the edge of the hard bed for hours. Thoughts chase each other in circles like mad dogs. I turned on the laptop. Not for work, for investigation. I found Theodore Richards in 20 minutes. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. A successful financier. Wife, an elegant brunette, 2 sons, about 8 and 10. Photos from a sailing regatta, a charity golf tournament, family dinners at waterfront restaurants in Sydney. A perfect life. And not a single photo, not a single mention of a daughter in the USA. Of course. I wrote to him. Not an emotional scream, but a cold, precise message, like a technical brief. Mr. Richards, I am Liam Carter, Kate's husband. Today I discovered my wife's correspondence from 2008, bank statements with your transfers totaling over $170,000, and gifts signed by you addressed to my daughter Qley. Kate claims you are the child's biological father. I ask you to confirm or deny this information and clarify the terms of your arrangement with my wife. I expect your response at your earliest convenience. The reply came 4 hours later. It was apparently the middle of the night in Sydney. A long, convoluted text full of justifications and legally sanitized phrasing. Dear Liam, I offer my deepest apologies for the pain and distress this long-standing and highly complex matter may be causing you. Yes, in June 2008, there was indeed a brief relationship between myself and Kate. When she informed me of the pregnancy, Circumstances, my impending move to Australia, her recent marriage, compelled us to seek a solution that would minimize harm to all involved, especially the unborn child. Kate assured me that you were fully aware of the situation and agreeable to an arrangement where I would provide financial support without interfering in the family's life. I acted based on this information, believing I was acting responsibly by ensuring the girl's well-being. I never had any intention of harming your marriage or assuming any paternal role. That role, I understood, was being brilliantly fulfilled by you. I understand that my actions, based on incorrect information from Kate, have caused you significant harm. I am prepared to discuss any reasonable measures to rectify the situation, including financial compensation for moral damages. I am also prepared to cease all contact and transfers entirely, should you wish. Again, my sincerest apologies. Sincerely, Theodore, Toby, Richards. I reread the email several times. Acted based on this information. Prepared to discuss financial compensation. He was buying his way out again. He had been buying his way out his whole life. And now he was offering to buy his way out from me. The price for my silence, my agreement to continue living in this charade. Bile rose in my throat. I didn't reply. Then a message came from Qley. At 3 a.m. Dad, I don't know what to say. I'm so scared. Mom is crying all the time. She says she loves you and that it was all a terrible mistake. And I don't understand. I feel like I'm wrong. Like I broke everything. I love you. You're my dad. Please, just say you're my dad. Even if it's not for real. I cried. For the first time in many, many years. Gut-wrenching sobs that tore through my chest. I cried for that little girl I used to rock in my arms. I cried for myself. That naive fool who believed in the fairy tale. And I cried for this frightened teenager sitting in her room feeling wrong, because her mother and biological father were scoundrels. I wrote back to her. Short, you are not to blame for anything. Never. You are the most right thing in this wrong story. I love you. Just give me time. I don't know who I am right now. But I know I love you. That was the truth. A terrible, contradictory truth. I loved her. But that love was now poisoned with the venom of betrayal, the bitterness and pain of knowing that the most sacred moments of my fatherhood, the first word, the first steps, the first, I love you, Daddy, were addressed to me by mistake. Or were they? Can love be a mistake? I didn't sleep all night. In the morning, I called the office, said I was sick. Then I called a lawyer, an old university friend, Mike. I laid out the facts to him, dryly, like a report. He whistled through his teeth as he listened. Damn, Liam, that's heavy. Legally speaking, you're the legal father, you're on the birth certificate, you raised her. Even if you do a DNA test, it won't change much in terms of alimony or custody rights in a divorce. But regarding the division of assets, these secret accounts, these transfers, that could be considered hiding assets. A serious breach. That gives you a very strong position. I don't need a position, Mike. I exhaled. I need to understand how to breathe. How do I look at that girl? How do I go on? He was silent for a moment. That's not for me anymore. That's for a therapist. But as a lawyer, I'll say this. Don't do anything in the heat of the moment. Don't file papers today. Don't meet with Kate. Gather all the information, all the statements, all the letters, scan them, save them. And then decide what's more important to you. Revenge or some kind of future. Even if the future is different. I thanked him and hung up. Revenge? I thought about sending all of this to Toby's wife. With the photos of him and Kate, with the statements. To destroy his perfect life, as they destroyed mine. The thought was sweet and poisonous. But what would it achieve? Would it make Qley happier? Would it give me back my 15 years? I left the room, got in the car, and drove aimlessly. I ended up at the construction site of the new house. The frame stood, wrapped in blue plastic, work bustling inside. I watched it from behind the wheel. This house was supposed to be the temple of our family. Now it looked like a mausoleum. A tomb for a dream that died before it was even born. And then I realized the most terrible thing. I don't know who I lost more. The wife I, as it turns out, never knew, or the daughter who, as it turns out, was never mine. Or perhaps, I lost myself. The person I was yesterday morning. He died in that attic. And who got up from the dusty floor, I don't know yet. I don't need advice on how to handle the divorce. That's clear. I don't know, the experience of those who have been through something similar. How did you survive the moment when the ground vanished from under your feet? How were you able to separate the love for the child from the hatred of the lie in which they were conceived? How did you find the strength not to break completely and, maybe a year, 5 years later, build something new on this scorched earth? And the main question gnawing at me the most: if love and fatherhood turned out to be an illusion, does that mean they weren't real? Or does the strength of those feelings prove they were more real than any blood? I don't know the answer. And the pain from that is unbearable.